Yahweh, the name that echoes through the corridors of time, whispered in ancient temples and sung in the hearts of millions today. This divine figure, revered as the all-powerful God in the Bible, holds a story far richer and more mysterious than most have ever imagined. Long before the pages of sacred scripture were penned, before temples rose and kingdoms fell, the name Yahweh was intertwined with the shifting tides of history, culture, and belief. From the arid deserts of the ancient Near East to the mighty rivers that cradled early civilizations, Yahweh's presence was more than a simple deity. It was a living symbol of existence, passion, and unwavering commitment. The story of Yahweh is not just a tale of a singular God, but a profound journey through time, revealing connections with ancient gods like the Anunnaki and transformations shaped by peoples and empires. As we embark on this journey, we will unravel the linguistic mysteries, explore the archaeological whispers, and examine the theological evolutions that sculpted Yahweh from a regional deity into the singular God of monotheism. This is a story that challenges what we think we know, opening doors to ancient wisdom, hidden histories, and spiritual truths that still resonate in the world today. Prepare to see Yahweh not merely as a distant God, but as a timeless force, woven deeply into the fabric of human civilization, and perhaps within ourselves. The name Yahweh carries within it a profound mystery, a secret woven into the very fabric of language and existence. Derived from ancient Semitic roots, it is more than a mere label. It is an affirmation of being, a declaration that transcends time. Scholars trace the name to a verbal root meaning to be or to exist, capturing the essence of a God who is self-existent, eternal, the very foundation of all that is. In the book of Exodus, this is reflected when God reveals himself to Moses as, "I am who I am," a statement that conveys not only presence, but an unchanging reality that stands beyond human comprehension. This linguistic connection offers us a glimpse into how the ancients understood divinity, not as a distant, unknowable force, but as the very act of existence itself. But the journey of the name Yahweh is far from simple. Pronounced in ways that have shifted through millennia, altered by the tongues of diverse peoples, it was often considered too sacred to be spoken aloud. The consonants which appear in sacred texts as a reminder, yet the exact pronunciation was lost to reverence and tradition. Over centuries, Christian scribes transformed the name into Jehovah, a hybrid rendering that still echoes in modern worship. This evolution reminds us that words, even those as sacred as Yahweh, carry layers of history, culture, and interpretation, often reflecting the changing relationships between people and their gods. The name itself is a testament to the intertwined nature of language and belief. It teaches us the power of words to shape reality, to bind communities in shared faith, and to convey truths that endure beyond time. Just as the ancient Israelites revered Yahweh's name, guarding it carefully, so too are we reminded today of the reverence owed to the sacred and the responsibility that comes with understanding. Turning from the whispers of language, we find Yahweh's presence etched not only in scripture, but in stone and ancient clay. Archaeology offers tangible footprints of this deity, reaching beyond the pages of the Bible into the heart of history itself. Among the most compelling is the Mesha Stele, also known as the Moabite stone, discovered in Jordan in the 19th century. This artifact, inscribed by King Mesha of Moab around 840 BCE, boasts of his victories and references Yahweh explicitly, affirming that the worship of this god was a living political reality outside Israelite borders. This external testimony provides a vital historical anchor, reminding us that Yahweh was not confined to myth, but was integral to the identity and struggles of ancient peoples. Further south, in the ruins of ancient Nubia, the temple of Amenhotep III holds inscriptions referring to the Shasu of Yahweh, a nomadic group tied to the worship of this god. This evidence pushes back the timeline of Yahweh's veneration, suggesting a more complex and widespread devotion than previously assumed. The Shasu, once considered bandits or outlaws, emerge as pivotal figures in the early worship landscape, revealing that Yahweh's influence transcended ethnic and national boundaries, even in antiquity. Such archaeological discoveries teach us that faith is often a living, breathing force, shaped by migrations, conflicts, and cultural exchanges. They caution against viewing religious history as a closed book, encouraging instead an openness to the layers of human experience that shape belief. Through these stones and inscriptions, the voice of the past speaks across millennia, inviting us to listen closely. As we move forward in this exploration, we see that the name Yahweh and the traces it leaves are but the opening lines of a vast and intricate story. A story that unfolds through language, stone, and the hearts of those who believed. It is a story that demands we look deeper to uncover the origins and evolutions that have shaped this divine name into the powerful symbol it remains today. From the whispers of ancient tongues and the carved stones of long-lost civilizations, the story of Yahweh's worship unfolds as a rich tapestry woven with threads of transformation and devotion. The early Israelites did not begin as staunch monotheists, but rather as a people whose spiritual path evolved slowly, shaped by the realities of their world. Initially, they lived within a landscape dominated by polytheism, the belief in many gods, each with dominion over aspects of nature and life. Yet, among these gods, Yahweh began to rise in prominence, shifting from being one deity among many to the singular focus of exclusive worship. This progression, known as the movement from henotheism to monotheism, reveals much about the dynamic nature of faith and identity. Henotheism, a term describing the worship of one god without denying the existence of others, was the stage upon which this transformation played out. The Israelites chose Yahweh as their protective and guiding deity, even as neighboring peoples maintained their own pantheons. This choice was not arbitrary. It was influenced by social, political, and spiritual needs. Amidst the harsh wilderness and constant threats, a God who embodied both warrior strength and covenantal faithfulness offered hope and unity. The prophetic voices of the time, like those of Elijah and Isaiah, called the people to exclusive loyalty to Yahweh, condemning the worship of other gods as a betrayal. This internal push and pull, this tension between old ways and new faith, marked a critical period in Israelite history. As kingdoms rose and fell, so too did the expressions of Yahweh worship evolve. The northern kingdom of Israel displayed a more syncretistic approach, blending Yahweh worship with that of local deities, while the southern kingdom of Judah moved steadily toward a monotheistic ideal. Political events, especially the Assyrian conquest of Israel and later the Babylonian exile of Judah, deeply affected religious thought. The trauma of exile forced reflection and reform, prompting a reimagining of Yahweh not only as a tribal deity, but as the universal God of all creation. This shift is reflected in the theological writings that canonized Yahweh as the sole divine authority, a God of justice, mercy, and cosmic sovereignty. Within this complex religious landscape, Yahweh's identity intertwined with and sometimes eclipsed other prominent deities of the Canaanite pantheon. El, once regarded as the supreme god and father figure, saw his attributes gradually absorbed into the growing prominence of Yahweh. This blending, syncretism, allowed Yahweh to assume roles of justice, compassion, and kingship, expanding beyond his earlier associations with storms and war. Yet, the transition was not seamless. The worship of Asherah, a fertility goddess and consort to El in earlier traditions, persisted among some Israelites, creating theological tensions. Prophets vehemently opposed this practice, emphasizing Yahweh's exclusivity and rejecting idols, which led to internal strife and religious reforms. This interplay between gods, cultures, and politics illustrates the fluid nature of ancient religion. Yahweh's journey from a regional storm god to the singular God of Israel reveals a story of adaptation, resilience, and evolving identity. It teaches us that faith is often a mirror, reflecting the hopes, fears, and aspirations of a people navigating the uncertainties of their time. Understanding this process deepens our appreciation for the Bible, not only as a spiritual text, but as a historical document shaped by the ebb and flow of human experience. As the narrative continues, we find Yahweh not only as a God of covenant, but also as a divine warrior, commanding storms and armies with fierce power. This imagery, deeply rooted in the natural and cultural environment of the ancient Near East, offers insight into how the Israelites perceived their God's might and protection. Just as the thunderstorm commands the skies, Yahweh was envisioned as a formidable force against enemies, a leader who fought on behalf of his people. These depictions resonate throughout the Psalms, prophetic books, and historical narratives, reinforcing Yahweh's role as both protector and conqueror. The symbolism of storm and war, God connects Yahweh to broader Near Eastern motifs, where deities like Baal and Hadad ruled the weather and battlefields. Yet Yahweh's character carried unique covenantal aspects, binding divine power with promises of faithfulness and justice. The Lord of Hosts, as he is often called, leads heavenly armies, but also calls for righteousness among his followers. This dual nature, fierce in judgment, compassionate in mercy, imbues Yahweh with a depth that transcends simple archetypes. Understanding Yahweh's warrior imagery enriches our comprehension of biblical texts and ancient Israelite society. It reveals how faith served as a source of courage in times of conflict and uncertainty. Moreover, it shows how the natural world and human experience shape religious expression, as the forces of nature become metaphors for divine action. This imagery invites us to consider the ways in which spirituality can offer strength and hope amid life's storms, both literal and metaphorical. The evolving identity of Yahweh, as both a God of storm and war and the sole deity of Israel, invites us into a profound reflection on the nature of divinity and human understanding. From linguistic roots to archaeological finds, from henotheistic practices to monotheistic convictions, and from warrior symbolism to covenantal love, Yahweh's story embodies the complex journey of faith through history. As we prepare to explore Yahweh's connections with the ancient Anunnaki gods and their shared mythologies, we carry forward these insights, recognizing that beneath every name and image lies a living history, shaped by human hands and hearts yearning for meaning. Yahweh's image as a divine warrior and storm god is a powerful thread woven throughout the tapestry of ancient Israelite belief. In the arid and often hostile landscapes where the Israelites lived, the forces of nature, thunderstorms, lightning, wind, were awe-inspiring and sometimes terrifying manifestations of power. Yahweh, embodying these elements, was seen as the ultimate commander, leading celestial armies with a thunderous voice and a flaming sword. This fierce depiction offered reassurance to a people frequently beset by enemies and uncertainty, positioning their God not just as protector, but as an active participant in their struggles for survival and sovereignty. Scripture abounds with vivid portrayals of Yahweh's warrior role. The Song of Deborah celebrates Yahweh's decisive intervention in battle, declaring him the one who leads the charge against the mighty. Similarly, the Song of the Sea in Exodus 15 recounts Yahweh's triumph over the Egyptian forces, wielding storm and fire to secure freedom for the Israelites. Prophetic books like Isaiah echo this motif, casting Yahweh as a relentless warrior who will crush oppression and bring justice. This imagery reflects a common ancient Near Eastern motif, where gods were intimately tied to natural phenomena and warfare. Yet Yahweh's characterization is distinct in its fusion of militant might with covenantal love and moral authority. Juxtaposing Yahweh's warrior aspect with neighboring deities reveals both similarities and unique traits. Storm gods like Baal were widely worshipped in Canaanite religion, commanding thunder and rain, essential for agriculture and survival. Yet Baal's mythology involved cyclical death and rebirth, emphasizing fertility and renewal, while Yahweh's narrative is focused more on unyielding justice, singular sovereignty, and a covenantal relationship with the chosen people. This contrast illustrates how Yahweh's persona was adapted to meet the theological and social needs of Israel, merging familiar symbols with a distinct spiritual vision. Moving beyond symbolic imagery, the story of Yahweh gains further complexity when compared to the pantheon of the Anunnaki, the ancient Mesopotamian gods whose myths echo through human history. These deities, Enlil, Enki, Ninurta, held dominion over elements of nature, civilization, and cosmic order, their stories intertwining with those found in biblical texts. Enlil, the god of weather and war, shares thematic parallels with Yahweh's role as a fierce warrior and ruler. Yet whereas Enlil's narratives often emphasize divine caprice and conflict among gods, Yahweh's story incorporates a moral dimension grounded in justice and covenant. Enki, the god of wisdom, water, and creation, brings a different resonance. His role in Mesopotamian myths as a giver of knowledge and protector aligns intriguingly with biblical passages that associate Yahweh with wisdom and possession of hidden treasures. Proverbs celebrates Yahweh as the source of understanding, mirroring Enki's reputation as a benefactor of humanity's advancement. The parallels suggest that the biblical authors may have drawn from shared cultural motifs while reinterpreting them within their theological framework. Ninurta, the warrior and agricultural god, revered for his strength and role as a protector, also reflects aspects of Yahweh's character. His depiction as a mighty hunter and defender resonates with Yahweh's portrayal as a divine champion of Israel. However, inscriptions depicting Ninurta as a mysterious god lingering in secret places contrast with Yahweh's more direct engagement with his people, as revealed through prophets and covenantal promises. These nuanced differences highlight that while thematic overlaps exist, Yahweh's identity stands apart, shaped by unique religious experiences and historical developments. One of the most dramatic biblical events, the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, offers a poignant case for comparing Yahweh with these ancient gods. In Genesis, Yahweh descends to judge and obliterate the cities for their wickedness, a narrative rich with divine judgment and mercy intertwined. Mesopotamian texts attribute similar cataclysmic destruction to gods like Nergal rather than Ninurta or Enlil, underscoring the diversity of ancient divine narratives. This divergence invites reflection on how Yahweh's story was both part of and distinct from the broader mythologies circulating in the ancient Near East. The interplay between Yahweh and the Anunnaki mythology suggests a complex process of cultural transmission, adaptation, and theological innovation. Biblical authors appear to have engaged with, transformed, and at times repudiated the polytheistic frameworks around them, forging a new vision of the divine that emphasized singular sovereignty, moral order, and a personal relationship with humanity. This process was neither simple nor uniform, but a dynamic evolution reflecting centuries of faith, conflict, and interpretation. Understanding these connections enriches our grasp of biblical texts and the origins of monotheism. It teaches us that religious identity is often a mosaic, pieces borrowed, reshaped, and given new meaning across generations. The figure of Yahweh emerges not as a static relic, but as a living symbol, continually redefined in the hearts and minds of those who seek to understand the divine. As we continue this journey, we will delve deeper into how these ancient stories illuminate the enduring human quest for meaning, power, and connection to the sacred. Yahweh's journey from a regional storm god to the singular, all-encompassing deity reflects a profound theological and philosophical evolution, a transformation that continues to invite reflection on the nature of divinity and humanity's relationship with the sacred. At its core, this journey reveals how ancient peoples grappled with the mysteries of existence, justice, and the cosmos, seeking a divine presence that was not only powerful, but intimately connected to their lives and destinies. This evolution challenges us to consider divinity not as a fixed concept, but as a living, breathing reality shaped by human experience and cultural dialogue. Yahweh's narrative embodies the tension between power and mercy, judgment and grace, wrath and love. Through sacred texts, prophets, and communal worship, the divine took on a character that transcended mere force, a character that called for righteousness, compassion, and covenantal faithfulness. It is a story of a God who commands the heavens yet walks with the humble, who wields thunder but listens to the prayer of the lowly. Theological reflection on Yahweh invites us to explore the dynamic interplay between the human and the divine, recognizing that our understanding of God is continually shaped by history, culture, and spiritual seeking. It reminds us that faith is not static dogma, but a journey of discovery, wrestling with doubt and affirmation, struggle and surrender. In this light, Yahweh becomes a mirror reflecting our own deepest longings for meaning, justice, and connection. In today's diverse and pluralistic world, understanding Yahweh's origins and transformations holds vital relevance. It teaches us humility in the face of differing beliefs and invites dialogue grounded in respect and curiosity. The story of Yahweh is not merely a relic of ancient history, but a living testament to the human quest for transcendence, a quest that crosses cultural and religious boundaries, touching hearts across continents and generations. Modern societies, especially those with roots in Abrahamic traditions, grapple with questions of identity, morality, and coexistence, all framed by understandings of the divine. Recognizing the layered history behind Yahweh enriches our appreciation of these traditions and fosters empathy for the complex paths of faith. It encourages us to see beyond rigid boundaries and to embrace the shared human search for meaning. As we carry forward this exploration, we are reminded that the sacred often dwells both beyond and within, that the divine presence pulses in the universe and in the quiet depths of our own souls. The story of Yahweh, with all its richness and complexity, beckons us to a deeper awareness of this sacred mystery. With this awareness, we turn next to the fascinating interplay between Yahweh and the Anunnaki, the ancient gods who shaped the myths and civilizations of the ancient Near East. Their stories intertwine in ways that challenge and enrich our understanding of divine power and human destiny, inviting us once again to listen closely to the echoes of the past and the whispers of the divine. In the vast expanse of human history, few stories captivate the imagination and challenge the boundaries of understanding as profoundly as the journey of Yahweh, the God whose name has echoed through millennia, shaping civilizations, faiths, and the very way humanity perceives the divine. This journey from ancient origins, whispered in the languages of desert nomads and carved into the stones of forgotten empires, to the powerful monotheistic God revered today, is more than a tale of religion. It is a testament to the human spirit's relentless pursuit of meaning, identity, and connection with the sacred. As we reflect on the layers of history, language, and culture that form the mosaic of Yahweh's identity, we recognize that this is a story alive with mystery and transformation. It invites us to look beyond dogma and tradition, to embrace a nuanced understanding of divinity, one that acknowledges the interplay of power and compassion, of warrior and protector, of ancient myth and timeless truth. Through archaeological discoveries and linguistic insights, through sacred scripture and scholarly debate, we uncover a God who is both deeply rooted in the soil of history and transcendent beyond the bounds of time. This exploration urges us to consider the ways in which faith evolves, not as a rigid construct, but as a living dialogue between the divine and humanity. It reminds us that the names and images we associate with God are reflections of our collective journey, shaped by the triumphs and trials of generations. The tale of Yahweh is thus a mirror, reflecting our own search for purpose and belonging in a complex world. It teaches us humility and awe, urging us to honor the sacred within and without. In a modern world where beliefs often clash and identities are contested, understanding the origins and evolution of Yahweh offers a path toward empathy and respect. It reveals the interconnectedness of cultures and the shared human longing for transcendence. The ancient gods, the Anunnaki, the storm and warrior motifs, all these threads intertwine to form a rich tapestry that informs not only history, but the very fabric of spirituality today. This is why delving into the story of Yahweh is more than an academic exercise. It is an invitation to engage with the deepest questions of existence, to recognize the sacred as a living force in our lives, and to appreciate the profound legacy left by those who came before us. It is a call to explore the divine not as a distant concept, but as an intimate presence found in the stories we tell, the communities we build, and the love and justice we pursue. As this journey draws to a close, it is important to carry forward the spirit of inquiry and wonder. To honor the complexity of Yahweh's story is to celebrate the diversity and richness of human belief, and to acknowledge that in seeking to understand the divine, we also deepen our understanding of ourselves. Each revelation, each archaeological find, each linguistic puzzle adds a brushstroke to a masterpiece that continues to unfold. If this exploration into the origins, meanings, and transformations of Yahweh has stirred your curiosity and expanded your perspective, consider joining a community of seekers who share in this quest. By liking this video and subscribing to the channel, you support the ongoing journey into the mysteries that shape our world and our souls. Together, we can uncover more stories, challenge assumptions, and celebrate the profound beauty of human spirituality. Remember, the story of Yahweh is not confined to ancient texts or distant lands. It lives within each of us, in the questions we ask and the truths we embrace. By engaging with this legacy, we honor a heritage that transcends time, connecting us to the eternal dance of the divine and the human. So, stay with us as we continue to explore, to question, and to illuminate the sacred paths that have guided humanity through the ages. The journey is far from over, and the next chapter awaits, rich with discovery, insight, and the enduring light of faith.